Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Emily,
I'm Joan of Heart.
and we're here with Charles from Silktone Amps. I got a fuzz
Hey.
pedal up there.
Yeah,
Prince is standing on it. Hippie Prince.
that's the best person to be standing on one of my pedals.
late
Yeah.
career Prince, which he never really lost his swagger. Maybe a little bit in the late 90s, but yeah. What we're going to talk about? My brain is broken.
Oh no!
I hope someone else remembers. No,
Is there a warranty? Are there parts?
this is strong.
Can
Sorry,
we fix her?
Yeah. We're about 2 months away from NAMM.
Yay.
And so my first NAMM was last summer, and sounds like it's going to be the first time for both of you.
Oh
Yeah.
yay! Yes, I am looking forward to my first visitation at NAMM. It's been kind of like a dream of mine to experience that, and this being it, and that means I get to see you in person, like really weird, like in person, the both
First
of you.
time
Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
East
First time
meets
ever.
West.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It's everyone always asks me every year. I mean, for the last few years that I've been in the industry, like either customers or friends online, are you going to NAMM? Are you going to NAMM? And I always say,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I don't have anything to. It's so expensive, and
Mm.
I always figured if I go, I need to present because I have new stuff coming out. But I was talked into going this time and just go to have fun and meet people and not present. So I'm not dealing with any of the presentation crap. I'm just just gonna go hang with friends.
I think that's the best way to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm going on a press pass. I mean, I've done Summer NAMM a few times, and Nashville NAMM in Anaheim once, and
Right.
everyone told me like it used to be a lot bigger. So I'm really curious to see if it's increased in size from where it was last year, or if it's going to maintain that slightly smaller footprint. I know people have like maps and stuff, listings in advance, but I don't really know
Yeah.
what to compare it to.
What are you guys looking forward to seeing there the most? Are you gonna check anything out in particular?
It's the people. You
Yeah.
know, I'm excited to hang out with some people, maybe meet some new ones. Yeah, that's I think the best part is just getting a lot of people who are part of this community in the same room together, a big room, maybe masked, maybe not. All I know is that I didn't get sick after last NAMM, and I really appreciated not being sick.
That's good. Did you mask up or?
Yeah, I did actually.
Okay.
That was when Andrew was on. So Andrew, Rick, my husband, and I all masked up pretty much the whole time. Andrew did get COVID, which he talked about pretty publicly, so I feel okay saying that. I didn't, but I got it after Gearfest at Sweetwater.
Oh,
It sucked.
Yes, it sucks.
Got it from
But
Steve from 60 Cycle Home.
when sharing is not caring.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it's nobody's fault. It's not a moral failing, but it's just annoying to get
Yeah, I
it.
can't decide if I'm gonna mask or not, just because it seems a lot less prevalent now, but I know it's not. I know it's still around, and everyone's
It's still around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still out there. I mean, I'm debating it on my end because, again, for me, there's still I just sent the test or whatever. I'm just trying to see whether, at least with my condition, whether I'm autoimmune or not. So I should kind of know beforehand, but I'm still on the fence of whether I'm still masking, which in Florida, I kind of have to because no
Right.
one cares here.
Yeah.
But I'm, again, on the fence of like, what situations in NAMM am I going to mask for? What situations will I not mask for? So it's still that, am I ready yet? So I'll get to that point once we get closer to the date. But yeah.
That's where I'm at. Just like situational,
Don't
just
know.
use your
Yeah.
best judgment. Yeah.
I kind of feel like I don't ever want to be in an airport again or on an airplane without a mask, because like I used to get sick every single time I flew, like clockwork, and I haven't really since. Although I've had the flu on a plane apparently. Like when I was coming back from New York, I started feeling really sick about halfway through. It's like it just started to hit me, and that's a very long flight. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I really don't recommend coming down with the flu midway through a flight, especially the landing part is really hard when your ears are already kind of clogged. I couldn't clear my ears, and one of them completely blocked up, and I was like deaf for a day in that ear. It was really scary.
Ouch.
Yeah, 0 out of 10. But hopefully I didn't pass it on to anybody else. I mean, Rick never got it, so I think it was okay. But I was also at the Brooklyn Bowl for like 4 days straight with like 2,000 people, so I should have masked up.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's always weird. I've heard about, because I got it for the first time last year and like mid last year, and my girlfriend, we're together constantly, we live together, and she didn't get it at all. We, as soon as I had symptoms and found out I was sick, we isolated for like 7 days or whatever, and totally fine after that. And then a few months later she got it, same situation. We were around people the night before, like across the table from them, and then the next morning she started feeling sick, tested and was positive. We isolated and nobody else got sick. So
yeah, I know that we're saying this is a COVID podcast, so I know there's asymptomatic like you can spread it asymptomatically. I do feel like it's rarer.
yeah.
But yeah, hopefully nobody gets COVID before, during, or after NAMM.
Hopefully.
And
Yes.
what I'm excited for is, since it's going to be in April, it won't be nearly as hot. And apparently, normally it's a lot hotter in Anaheim even than it was last June when they had it. So it wasn't terrible weather, but it's going to be really nice, I think, being more of a normal temperature.
Yeah, it gets crazy down there in the summer, and I'm staying with we're all renting a house together, but Ryan from Demos in the Dark, and then Mark and Sean from Scythe Guitars, and Brian from Spruce Effects, and Kai Brewster, a musician and Ryan's friend and co-host of his After Dark thing.
Yeah.
And they were all like, everyone's stoked about a pool because there's a pool at the house, and they're like, well, fuck, it's gonna be April, it's not gonna be hot enough to swim or anything. I was like, dude, it's LA. We'll be in the 90s probably.
I mean, it's
So
the desert, right? So,
yeah, it should be
like,
good.
yeah, I feel like at least, so it looks like April, the average high is like 74 and the average low is 54. I'd go swimming in 74 degrees in the desert.
74. Yeah. And that's, it'll probably be a little hotter.
Yeah, these a bunch of those guys are from the Midwest, like Scythe, and is it Scythe, Kansas City?
Kansas City, yeah.
So I say even in like Kansas City and definitely in Minnesota, April is definitely too early to go swimming. But Anaheim,
Right.
I'd do it.
Yeah. Because even at 74, it's gonna feel like 100 to them.
Yeah, that's true, because they are going to be coming from someplace where it literally might be snowing.
Yeah.
It does snow in April sometimes, I've heard.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in as far as the heat goes, because I'm more, at least in Florida, we have more humid kind of heat. How is the heat? Like, is it a dry kind of heat, or is there some humidity in
It's
California?
the desert.
Yeah,
it's the desert.
It's pretty dry.
Okay.
There's humidity sometimes through California, but not. Yeah, it's pretty dry heat. Like I went to where'd I go? I was super shocked to go to Arizona one time, and it was so hot and wet and humid, and I thought it would be the opposite because it's Arizona. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like people tend to retire there partially because it's the low humidity is easier on the joints. And I know celebrities love LA because the low humidity is better for the hair.
It's weird how it affects you differently, like coming from a climate you're used to and going. Like even last summer I went to Portland, and I was drinking with Alex from Mass at just a bar he liked, and we were chilling. It was maybe like 50 degrees out, which I'm no stranger to 50 degrees, but at that time of year I'm not used to it. And so I was like bone shaking cold walking back, and he's like, "What's wrong with you, dude?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not used to it being this cold right now. I only brought, a long sleeve. I don't have a big jacket like all you Portlanders."
50 degrees is
So,
t-shirt weather in Ohio, depending on the time of year.
right? Yeah.
Like if it's the spring, it's like, okay, t-shirts, that's it. We're good. No more winter clothes. Just kind of like gently shivering, like just too proud, way too proud to admit that maybe it's a little on the cold side. But my mom lives in South Carolina and my dad does too, but she comes out more. She always talks about like how cold it is up here in like April. Like, what?
Yeah, in Sacramento Valley, like around that time when I went, it was like May or June. Our low is like 90, so so it's like, yeah, just was not acclimated.
Simply no thank you to that weather.
Yeah, it's fucked.
I think I will pass. Yeah, and then Joe wishing that she could wear her coats more than
Yes,
one day a
once
year.
yes, exactly. That's my joke, like, the one day of the year that I can go into my closet and just run my finger across all the coats and goes, "Who's the lucky one? Who's gonna be worn the one day out of the year?" And the thing is with at least our Florida cold, as much as like, "Oh, it's 50, we're all bundled up." It's a different kind of cold because the humidity, the moisture in the air penetrates your skin or your bones a little bit more to more drier areas. Because 'cause I've been in Pennsylvania, like, which is more of a drier kind of winter. And like when I was in college over there, I walked around 20 degrees. I was in shorts or whatever. Completely different than like Florida cold, which, like, yeah, it's like I would tell people if you stood next to like a riverfront, like how much colder it is. That's kind of the way like Florida cold would be. You feel it more.
Yeah, it's like the cold air coming in off the
Yep.
Puget Sound a little bit.
Right.
Beaches are cold, like it gets windy for one, and it's just the water. No.
Yeah, it'll shock. I went to San Diego last year, and I was shocked. It was the first time I'd been to San Diego, and it was like 72 degrees out, perfect weather, sunny and warm. And I was so shocked that I just from being on the beach all day, I got the worst sunburn I've ever had in my life. I didn't think that would happen in 70-degree weather, but you're sitting on a beach with like glass sand and
It's
reflecting
reflecting
up at
right
you.
back up
Oh,
at you. It's like
it
the
was
snow.
yeah, right. Yeah, snow burns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
People forget how atrociously sunburned you can get like skiing and stuff. It's like
yeah,
people are covering, yeah, they're covering their whole face because it's cold, but also they don't want to get a sunburn, a snow burn.
yeah, that's
It's
messed up.
uh
You guys got any cool gear you bought recently or on your
no, but
radar?
I do have this I plan on filming later today, the Black Bobbin Boost.
Nice.
Ah,
Yes.
that's cool.
Yeah, and then I turn it around, it says Old Blood Noise Endeavors, and I was like, "Oh my god, did I just hold up the wrong pedal?" I don't have anything secret for them right now anyway,
uh,
but I did have a moment of panic. But it's really cool. It has a built-in loop. It's a dual boost with a loop. So I'm gonna put a couple overdrives, distortions, fuzzes in
sick.
that loop and see how it responds differently. Keep the boost at the end for more volume, and then using the first boost to just drive things because it's just output.
Yeah.
Really stoked on that. So they also
One
sent me
of
some coffee, and I had some of their pour over today.
ah,
Oof, it was really good.
yeah, there's a few companies that also make coffee. I
Yeah.
know that one and oh god, it's not coming to me, but I know there's more.
I don't know
I
if
would do
String
that.
Joy I
I
don't know if
love that
String
shit.
Joy makes coffee, but,
Do they?
I do know that Scott loves coffee.
Mm,
He and I were
yeah.
trading coffee for a while. Let's see, under accessories, no coffee. Shocked.
Well,
There's
Missed
so
opportunity.
there's so many good roasters in Nashville they could, partner with.
Yeah. I gotta get into
Yeah.
that Silktone coffee. It's the silkiest
smooth.
aftertaste.
Silky.
Some shit.
Silky
Smooth and
smooth.
silky. Yeah.
Silky smooth
Yeah.
coffee.
My
Yeah.
my dude asked me the other day, talking about boosts and drives and stuff, what my favorite drive pedal was. And
Mm.
and I said, the kind in your car that gasses you to the store to buy a real amp and guitar.
Those are important.
Someone asked me
Or no, I
what.
said a real
Go ahead.
amp and P90s is what I said.
Yeah, P90s do it. I was talking to someone and they were asking me about like the guys from the Hold Steady, their boards. And at the time, I just seen Tad's, so I'm like, they're like, "What kind of drive does Tad have?" I'm like, "He doesn't seem to. It's just like a bunch. He has like 4 boosts on that pedal board."
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So, if you got a good amp and you want to drive it, you spend a lot of money for an amp, and then you're just gonna not use it to its full advantage.
Right?
One,
Yeah.
I get it. It can be hard to drive those things if they're big and loud, but not all amps are big and loud, are they?
Yeah, you got to push that. You got to push that first tube. That's what all those pedals are about.
Mm-hmm. But we
Yeah.
got some small amp options these days.
Oh
Yep.
And
yeah.
recently, one more into the world, the Micronaut, which I actually do like that name a lot. Like a
Thanks.
I do
cosmonaut
too.
or an astronaut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, because you got the Astro.
Hmm.
But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the Micronaut? It's an amp, it's a drive, it's a pre, it's a DI. It can do clean and it can do dirty.
And it can do bass. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I need to market that more. But it's confirmed. Yeah, I wasn't sure how much I wanted to push that because I wasn't sure how much shit I would get from bassists. But I've sent a few
Who
out to
cares?
bassists now, and they're like, "Dude, this thing fucking rips." Like so.
Does Hondo
Hondo,
Felder?
yeah.
Yeah,
Has he played it?
Hondo. It's Hondo approved. He's doing a demo for
Nice.
it. So
Perfect.
Hondo
Not.
was just texting me yesterday. It was like, dude, I know I already told you, but this thing is incredible. It's my new favorite bass DI and everything. So yeah, it's cool. The Micronaut, it started as a little. It started way different with a different exotic tube and everything, and then it kind of went through a few variations and landed on the 12AH7 and EL84. So it's a little 4-watt guitar amp, but the special thing about it is the transformer we used, and we designed. It's something that had never been done before in the guitar world, I think. And me and Brian Sowers were talking about it, and he developed it's a tertiary winding. So instead of just the secondary winding that drives a speaker, there's a whole isolated second winding that drives just a line out. So it uses a reactive load to maintain the response of a normal amp when a speaker is plugged in. So even when a speaker is not plugged in, the tube sees a speaker still, like in a passive load, and sends it to the line out. So it doesn't sound. You guys know how it sounds when you plug a guitar straight into a DI, and like, yeah, it works, but you got to put
Yeah.
a bunch of filters on it to make it sound like a normal amp.
Like a
And
sim, yeah.
yeah, so this, you don't have to do that. You can use IRs and stuff if you want to and get a different effect, but it'll maintain that natural amp vibe even going straight into a DAW. My favorite thing is to drive it into another amp and use it as like a drive or a boost or something, and it's awesome that way.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool. I'd love to try one out.
Yeah, I'll get one sent to you guys to try out. I was hoping to do it before the podcast, but we're so backlogged that
it's fine.
I was able to do it, but it wouldn't have made it in time. So
No,
You
I
know
mean,
what?
again,
It's cool, dude. Like I honestly, I've really slowed my roll a little bit just because of the elbow and the wrist injuries. So I'm just trying to take it kind of easy. But yeah, if you'd sent it, I might not have even been able to get to it, to be completely honest.
okay, good. All right, it
Yeah,
worked out then.
it did. It did. No, nobody needs to rush me anything because I have a to-do list and I am chipping away at it versus
Right.
trying to just pile through it. I was so bummed earlier in the year, like after I fell, I had the whole week off after and I was going to do so much and then I'm just like I can't lift a soda. Like I can't lift
Damn.
up a can of pop. So yeah, it's I did play a
Oh,
lot of Pokemon though, so
Yes, Pokemon Go.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's been, a journey. I
on your
don't know if
walks and stuff?
Charles does Pokemon Go. On my
Nice.
phone. I know there's an
Right,
app. There's a watch app, isn't there?
right. Or on your walks, I was saying. When you
Oh,
walk
oh
on,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's got me walking a little bit more too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just stupid fun that
Yeah.
at the same time, it's a game that hurts my feelings more than it absolutely should. It's like, this is a game for children, and it's hurting my feelings.
Oh,
Right,
no.
right.
I
The
think we
I
all been
remember when
there.
it first came out, we were when it first came out and everyone was playing it and everyone was talking
Yep.
about it. My girlfriend was playing it a lot, and I remember one time we were sitting on the porch and a woman pulled up across the street from us, and across the street from us was just like a hedge full of like bushes and everything. And she
Yeah.
stopped and got out and was on her phone and was like looking in these bushes. And my girlfriend was like, "What is she doing?" And I was like, "She's probably fucking playing Pokemon Go and doesn't know what's happening. She's looking for Squirtle or some shit."
Yeah, actually physically looking for
where
them in the
where is
bushes.
it? It says it's right here.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
that's about the same thing. Like, I think it was this week, Carlos was like, "Yeah, we can walk down this." Like, "This is a dark alley. Why am I following you? The Pokemon is not worth this."
Yeah.
No, every single night, without fail, there's, like, something rare and exciting in the cemetery by my house. I'm like, "There is no way in hell I'm going to a cemetery after dark to catch a Jinx or whatever. I
"Coming
don't
for
care."
you, Barbara. Look,
Yeah.
there's
Ugh.
one now."
Oh god, it's, like, spooky haunted, and the best part is, like, there's, like, 2 gyms and, like, 3 stops, and this is a Pokemon Go podcast now, but, like
That's fine.
like, literally a third of the cemetery is roped off because it's, like, collapsing. It's like,
Oh, no.
it's not even a particularly safe cemetery to be sending people
Oh,
to.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh my god."
That
I'm
reminds
just
me of
me and I'll be among them soon at
have you
this
guys
rate.
seen advertised online like an Alice in Wonderland adventure in your own city or anything like that? You've seen that? Yeah,
I
I
did it.
thought you did it.
I did it.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
I've done it.
we should share experiences then because
Okay, good.
mine was terrible.
Oh, no.
What is it? Is it
S- I
what
forget
would
what
I
it's called.
Google? Is it an
Yeah,
escape room?
it's kind of like an
It
open, like, in an area, you go into, like, a city in your local, I guess, neighborhood. Mine was, like, 30, 40 minutes away, but you're walking around all the streets, and I went through every back alley, construction area, like,
yeah.
all the unsightly, like, areas for us to walk through, and you're solving riddles, and you're trying to save Alice from having her head taken off. So, like, you're going to these points and then collecting like data so that you basically solve and find the key before, Alice gets bit.
Yeah. It
High
was
pressure.
not advertised that way.
Nope.
When we signed up for it, I thought, "Oh, that'll be cool. I'll surprise my girlfriend and we'll do that cuz she loves Alice in Wonderland."
My
And
mom
the
got it for us.
advertising is like, "Oh, for one weekend only, we transform your streets into the world of Wonderland and this and that." So we're thinking, and they show all these photos with like actors and staged, props and
Mhm.
everything. And you go and they sent us to downtown Sacramento, and we got out and we're like, "Okay, what the fuck? Where's all this stuff?" And we see other people just kind of like walking around doing a thing on their phone, and we realized, "Oh shit, this is just kind of Pokemon Go but Alice in Wonderland." And
Yep.
It sounds
but
like
it was
that.
in the middle of like the most rundown part of Sacramento, like right in the middle of Tent City, basically, where we were we were going down these blocks, and there were all these homeless encampments that all of these like weird middle-aged white tourists were like disturbing. They'd get out of their tents and be like, "Hey, can you guys like back up a little bit?" And the angry white people were like, "This is public property. We won't go
Oh my
anywhere."
god.
It
Yeah,
was
so
so ironic.
similar.
It was so weird.
It was kind of a similar experience where we going to like the most shadiest parts of this
Yeah,
downtown that was just like, this is, yeah, kind of like Pokemon Go where you're solving riddles within the time frame,
right.
but still it was just like, I am walking in areas I will not be caught dead in. I am glad I'm with other people walking around in
Yeah.
costumes and cosplay, but there's, like, no one else there.
Yeah. It was
That's
bizarre.
weird.
It
I
was.
don't
Yeah.
recommend it.
0 out of 10, would not do again, but,
Yeah.
my mom was trying to do a nice thing that she got it for Christmas for, like, me and Carlos, and I invited a friend, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was an experience, I'll say it's that.
It's $40
It was
to do
very
a
annoying.
scavenger hunt on your phone?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Oh,
pissed. It was ridiculous. But
someone
I'll
said,
never
"Did one
forget
in
it.
Tampa, it was miserable. It's a
Yeah.
GPS and phone
Oh,
game, no real items or interactions. Half
yep.
of the GPS hotspots where you're supposed to go to and stand to are next to Clue have super tight tolerances." Oh, so you have to be
Yeah.
right there, and if, like,
Yep, you have to
there's
be right there.
okay,
It was weird.
okay. We
Yeah.
ended up giving up and instead went to get a pizza and a frosty cold beverage and sat and watched the other frustrated players wander around.
Yeah, I saw those people, yes.
Yeah.
What would that be like
Um,
for a guitar?
oh my god. The NAMM
Imagine.
experience.
Yeah.
The NAMM
That'd be strange.
experience. Oh my god. Like,
Oh my
you, like,
god.
wander around and collect different guitar pedals, but you also get, like, patch cables, and that doesn't
Oh my
sound fun.
god. No, no, it wouldn't.
Play
It's like
different
Um,
rock and roll
scales.
yeah, it's like rock and roll
yeah.
fantasy camp, but, like,
Yeah.
less fun.
Yeah, one one of the things I wanted to, take it back to, topic-wise, I was talking with you, Charles, about the interesting aspect of taking the Micronaut and putting it through one side. Let's say if you have a solid state, like I have a JC40, and
Yeah.
kind of running the Micronaut on one side of it, and then, of course, the other one going straight to DAW, so you have both the tube and the solid state mixed together. I thought that was an interesting, I wouldn't have thought of that on my own, so I thought it was really great kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, it's I really like the what it opens up for, like, yeah, the whole DI aspect of it, or running
Mhm.
it into a solid state amp where you can, you can maintain the tone of the Micronaut, which is an amazing tube amp tone, and you can crank it and get that. That's the other unique thing. It's not like other lineouts where it's taken off the preamp section. Um, you get the full power tube drive sound out of it. So anything you hear coming out, like if you plugged into a cab normally, if you take that line out signal and plug it in, you'll get that full tone still. So yeah, you can use that to drive into like a JC40 or a JC120, or even like a twin reverb, a bigger tube amp. So you can, the line out volume works as a master at that point. So you can get that huge tone out of a much more powerful amp if you need it in like a live situation, or like you use your JC40 to go into your DAW and record that way. So you
Yep.
can do the Micronaut into one half and get that tone. And then you have this cool stereo effect where it's,
A
tube
blend of
amp
the
on one
2.
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's cool. It opens up a lot of uses. And
No, I thought so too when we were having that conversation because I know
yeah.
initially when I watched one of your interviews, you like brought up that kind of scenario, which I thought was interesting to think, obviously because I have one. One of the other things I wanted to ask you was, what do you like most about the Micronaut yourself? And when you had the idea and you first started to think about it, what did you have in mind?
Mm. That's a good question. I haven't thought of since I
Heavy
started doing
questions.
it. The my favorite thing to do with it is just, like I said, driving it into another louder amp, because as much as I like small amps, when you're actually moving air and feel it in the room, I love it. So but it's so hard to crank. It's it's hard to get a good tone out of those big high wattage amps because you really have to put them to their limit.
Push it.
So I wanted a, like, fully overdriven and saturated tube tone that you could reamplify at any volume, basically, to depending what amp you plug it into. But my favorite way to use it is in mode 2, basically cranked all the way up with P90s. It's so, like, fuzzy and saturated, and you can, like I said, plug it into a 10-inch cab, and it still sounds huge. I developed a 10-inch cab for it that's incredible. Everyone has loved it so far.
Wait,
Not
are you
available.
selling that? Ah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
it's
I love 10-inch speakers.
it is. It's available if you contact me. It's just not on the website yet. I haven't made enough to get around to all the retailers yet, so I didn't want to put it on the website yet. And I'm still kind of tweaking the speaker. I've let a few out that I'm happy with, but it's still not an official thing.
Is it
But
a
yeah,
110, 210?
it's a 110. Yeah. It's like a
Nice.
little 16-inch cube basically with a 10-inch speaker that again that I'm developing with WGS. We're going through all the it started as just a smaller version of the Silktone amp speaker, and then I wanted more bass out of it, and then I wanted more volume out of it. So I actually kind of prefer it now to the 12-inch. People ask me, should I get the 12-inch cab or wait for your 10? And I say, I have a few. Let me just send you the 10 because I've really been liking it that way. So like I was saying, getting, mode 2 fully cranked P90s out of a 10-inch speaker, or out of this 10-inch speaker anyway, sounds amazing. But taking that and leaving it that way, and then also taking that line out and driving into a Silktone amp or a JC40 and level matching to get kind of that stereo effect,
Nice.
with modulation in the middle. That's my favorite thing to do with it.
Nice.
I need to
Yeah,
try it
this
with bass still, because
yeah.
I haven't even tried it yet. It
You
was a
haven't tried the
happy
10-inch
out.
speakers with bass?
Yeah, the
Or
10-inch
period?
speakers I haven't tried with bass. I've driven it direct with bass, but I haven't done yet with bass is reamplifying it into a bass amp. So
Okay.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah. I bet
Hmm.
someone could at least do that for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm
What do
with you on the P90s. I'm falling more in love with P90s every time I play them.
Yeah, I
yeah.
still need to explore them more.
Oh, it's
Mhm.
fun. I got my only P90 guitar is hanging behind me, the Abernethy up there, and
Yeah. I got the Freya.
there we go. Oh, sick. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
just pointing to our guitars.
Yeah, it's I've been favoriting that like since I got it. It's been really cool. That's the one I did most of that demo, the Micronaut demo that we recorded here. I used that for most of it. That was
Cool.
interesting. Recording a demo here was weird. Never done that before.
No, I thought it was pretty funny because, of course, at the beginning it was like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" That
Yeah.
made me laugh.
Yeah, my dude Ryan, he threw that one at me just because he told me a few questions he would ask, and
Yeah.
then he dove
Curveball.
into it. Yeah, and then he curveballed it, and then he was just joking around, and he was like, "Okay, I'll cut that," and I was like, "Fucking don't you dare!" Like, that was good. That demo is so painfully me, and that's what we wanted to capture, kind of.
No, it
So
Yeah.
perfect. It was definitely perfect.
yeah.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you was, how do you approach challenges to finding certain sounds and designing amps and effects pedals, but while keeping them versatile in the huge color spectrum of music styles that are present today?
That's tough because it's always hard for me when I'm starting out on a project like so the Micronaut, for instance.
Hmm.
When I started designing it, I couldn't decide if I wanted it to be a little Swiss Army knife, like it kind of ended up as, or if I wanted it to be way more focused and driven and appeal to one kind of genre and one like just
Yeah.
do the driven thing, everyone told me, oh, maybe don't add cleans because you already have your bigger amps and it might kill sales with your bigger amps because that's kind of the Swiss Army knife. And I was like, well, it would be really cool to add because no one else is really doing it. None of the other small amps have a lot of headroom, so I wanted to do that. And that decision, it took a while, and I kind of had to make both and see what I liked better. But it's kind of, from a business perspective, I get like having focused products that appeal to one area because it might get more attention in that area instead of just, oh, you can do anything with this. Like, it seems unrealistic to think that all of my products will just cover all the ground. But
Mhm.
I have a tendency to, whatever I'm working on, I want to make it the best it can be, and I want to be able to enjoy it if it were the only thing I had, you know?
Mhm.
So I kind of approach it that way. Like, not everyone's going to have a Silktone amp and an Astro and a Micronaut and a fuzz pedal and whatever. So I kind of want it to make whichever one you have, you can cover a lot of ground with. So that's
No,
kind of
I
where I went
the
with them.
way the way I see it with amps and, like, big amps and small amps is that some of the people who have that big amp are gonna also want the small amp, but if you're only getting a small amp because you live in an apartment
Right.
or can't spend as much,
yeah.
like, there might I'm not sure there's as much cannibalization there as
Yeah.
people think there is. I think this could be an entryway into a bigger amp, or it could be an addendum, something you have with the bigger amp, but
Right.
I just don't think a lot of people are going to be like, "Ooh, should I get the big one or should I get the small one?" They're
Right.
different audiences.
Totally. And
No.
that's the decision I kind of landed on. And that's why yeah, that's why I packed everything I could into it, just to make it, if it, and that's the thing. I've been so surprised with the response. Like, I'm getting a lot of new customers that have never had like a boutique amp before. They've
Mhm.
never had a hand wired amp before. They're used to, the Yamaha boxes at Guitar Center and stuff, which are fine and get the job done, but they it's blowing everyone away. Like, I'm getting so many. I've never had people, not to toot my own horn or anything, it's just very weird
Fine.
to me. Like, people are calling me and like thanking me for designing it. They're like,
Aw.
"Is this Charles? Thank you so much for putting this out there," or emails. And so many customers are like, "This is insane. I never knew it would be this good." And yeah, it blows me away that you packed this much into it. And it's my first tube amp, or it's my first boutique amp, or whatever. It totally was not expecting that. Came out of left field.
Yeah, I mean, this amp really took a lot of people by storm, I think, and you don't usually see that much attention on a smaller amp. I don't
Right.
feel like I feel like it got more attention than I've seen from just a lot of amps in general.
It's absolutely took off more than any. It's been the most successful product as a whole of ours so far. So, and it got
Oh,
more response. So it's cool. I'm really proud of it. It's my favorite amp now. Like, I am guilty of needing a bigger amp. I don't like to use it by itself all the time, but I have access to all that stuff. But it's always in my chain. Like, even when I use the bigger amps, it's at the front of it. So
yeah.
it does a thing that the other ones can't quite do. Um, so yeah, there's a little overlap, but there's still uniqueness from each amp also. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean, of
they're unique.
course. Yeah, I mean, of course, like brands would rather always sell their higher end, more expensive product, but like if you sell like you can sell 4 or 5 of the more affordable product for every one person who's going to buy the more expensive one.
Yeah.
I think that you still wanna push as from a marketing perspective, you still want to make people, like, want that bigger thing,
Yeah.
and then they'll settle, or
Right.
they'll go for something kind of more downline as far as a product goes, and then have that as that thing that they want someday.
Yeah.
And when people decide they need or want a bigger amp, they're probably gonna think of Silktone pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I've been seeing. And it's gotten exposure for all the other products, like, across the board too. So that's been nice, just getting the word out there. Like, our fuzzes took off again, and yeah,
It's
Yeah,
great
all that was
fuzz.
cool. Yeah.
yeah, and that's really great because again, one product doesn't take away from the whole. Sometimes
Yeah.
one product can cast a light on the rest of what you have. So it's not really a, well, if I do this, then no one will buy this. And as
Right.
obviously both you and Emily said, there are people kind of like that have smaller spaces or don't have room for like a bunch of amps, like in my situation, which I'm more buying of like effects pedals because they're space saving, and I
Yeah.
don't have that many like guitars or like amps. A smaller kind of amp would probably be the best scenario for me because I don't have that much room, and just to have those type of tones in like a small compact, essentially portable situation if ever I needed, like that's perfect.
It's accessible.
Yeah, it's accessible
Yeah.
Yeah.
versus something that's more boutique, which is a little bit, sometimes out of certain people's reach, but it's a good introductory to someone's like, "Hey, like, this is really great. What else do they have? What else does this open up for me in possibility?"
Right. That's why I like the idea of making them work together also. Oh, cool, you
Yeah.
have the Micronaut. When you get the Silktone amp, plug it into it, you know? So it's yeah, it's been cool that way.
Yeah, I mean, the flexibility and just that that's something you don't always see in little
Mhm.
amps. I can't think of really many other examples where I would even
No.
think about, like, doing the line out from one amp into another.
Right.
Simply
And
wouldn't. Like,
it
blending them, like, maybe it's like some oregano or a
yeah,
little cumin, but
yeah. And it doesn't
not
usually
yeah.
sound all that great because it's just then you're just overdriving your preamp section at one point. And I don't know how they all work specifically, you know, aside from mine, but I know we're the first ones to do it this way. So, and it sounded a lot better than the other lineouts that I tried.
Is it
So,
something that's patentable?
um, maybe I didn't really, yeah, I didn't really uh, visit that. Not, I
Jump
don't,
on it.
I
Jump
don't
on it.
think so. Shit, I should maybe look into it.
Mm.
But it's hard to patent circuits just because it's it seems weird to yeah, it's just kind of weird to patent circuits just because it's kind of stuff that's been done before, but you're just using it in a different context, you know?
Mm.
I don't really know what I would patent. So,
You'd be surprised. There are some patents that definitely should not have been patented. I'm
yeah.
thinking about, like, the pedal train slatted pedal board patent that they
Oh,
had.
right. Yeah, what the
Like,
fuck?
give me a fucking break. And all these patent
Yeah.
trolls, like,
Yep.
from early internet, like, making something that they basically patent being able to open an email on a computer or something like that. Now they're saying
Yeah,
fucking sue everybody. You're
and
like,
they
"Oh,
just
get."
wait and sue people. Yeah.
Yeah, I like people who create and then just let it exist. Like,
Yeah.
my favorite example is, the sci-fi author Heinlein invented the waterbed and just didn't patent it because he didn't wanna sell waterbeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's literally described in, like, Stranger in a Strange Land, or that was Heinlein,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah, that those things were weird.
That's
My
cool.
my family had one of those, and yeah, they get holes, and you have to patch them, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he described, a hydraulic bed in Stranger in a Strange Land. The
Oh,
patient floated in the flexible skin of the hydraulic bed. Yeah, he
huh.
basically described a waterbed.
Yeah.
Hydraulics.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking
weird.
about it in the lowrider sense.
Yeah, he actually I guess he prophesized the modern waterbed. He obviously never built one. I It doesn't seem like something I would want.
Yeah.
No.
I actually kind of prefer a bed to have, like, a little bounce. Like, I don't even like the all foam ones. I don't like sinking into a thing or, like, feeling my grandfather had one, so I've, like, laid in one. I hate it was like a
Yeah.
novel it was a pretty novel thing, but I
Yeah.
don't get it. Sorry to
There
anybody
were
who
a
has
few
one.
there were a few around growing up, but
Mhm.
that's weird. That kind of reminds me of a conversation though. You're talking about prophesizing a waterbed. And maybe this is too weird and deep to get into, but fuck it. Let's,
I'm
throw
I'm I'm
something at the
open
wall
to
here.
weird. Just look
Yeah,
at my channel.
yeah. The I was talking with a friend the other day about how strange it is when things are written and then happen in real life. Like the whole um the train derailment in Ohio. I don't know if you guys have
Yeah.
heard about recently.
Yeah,
It
I've heard
being
about that.
like
East
the plot.
Palestine.
Yeah, and it's the plot of that White Noise movie that just came
Yep,
out. Like that came
I
out
read
and
that
then it
too.
happened.
Oh, that
Like
was
down to
filmed
the
near
area.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
filmed really near to there.
Like
That
right there. And it happened and it's happening now. And then we were talking about like what the book called oh, what was it? The Wreck of the Titan or something like that. The
oh, and then
Wreck of
if
the
like the
Titan.
Titanic, basically this huge luxury line the plot of the
Exactly.
movie that came out, I'm sorry, the plot of a book that came out in, like, the early 1900s.
Yeah. And then shortly afterwards, it
The
happens. The
Titanic.
Titanic happens and it
Yeah.
seems so that's fucking bizarre. I don't know.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Matrix shit, or like I don't know if you guys saw Westworld, but the last
A
season
little bit.
where Dolores is like writing the just like the backstories for characters that she thinks she's working on, but it's actually real people that she's writing their life to, and it's like, fuck, that's bizarre.
My favorite things like that are all from 30 Rock. 30 Rock predicted so much stuff. Like in the age of Simpsons too, but in the age of like streaming, there's essentially a MILF Island show, and that was predicted on 30 Rock. They talked about Bill Cosby and probably Harvey Weinstein before all that news broke, but like that's like, you know that they knew.
Yeah.
But things like there are other like 30 Rock. Let me look up 30 Rock predictions, but tons of Simpson ones too.
Yeah.
Things 30 Rock predicted.
Yeah, I wonder if they're willing it into existence or just have
the universe is listening.
Some insider info.
The joke density in that show is so high that inevitably things you joke about kind of become real sometimes. But they like would bring in stand-up comedians to like read through the scripts and add more joke density to it. Yeah. But let's James Franco's The Interview, that was apparently predicted. Oh, in a 2010 episode, he said he's going to be in a role that would be deemed, quote, too provocative for America. Oof. That was The Interview. God. Surgeon General appointment. Okay, that's not as funny. Steve Austin's campaign. Huh.
It's kind of like a bigger version of like when you're talking about something and then see it on your Instagram feed. You know?
Yes.
You're kind of willing it into the AI. So
yeah.
Maybe we're just in a big AI and
maybe
writing books.
Big AI.
Yeah.
Harriet, Bill Cosby's on here. Cabletown. Oh yeah, that was a joke, but 30 Rock named it when Cabletown building, and then Comcast turned 30 Rockefeller into the Comcast building.
Yeah.
So they literally 30 Rock did predict that one. That's pretty on the nose. And then Vine and Quibi, where each episode is only 10 seconds long and can only be viewed on the internet. So that actually was two things. That was Vine, I guess it was kind of TikTok.
Vine, yeah.
And it was I think it was Tubi. I think Tubi was what was the channel where every show was like really, really short and you could only watch it on your phone? And it failed immediately, but there was a show I wanted to watch on it so badly that was like House Hunters or like Flip or Flop or something, but for like paranormal houses, like haunted.
Oh
like it was like Selling Sunset, but it was like haunted houses.
Oh my god. I would watch that.
I know, I wanted to watch it so badly. Yeah, they were like really short. I don't know. My husband told me about it. But yeah, Simpsons, like The Simpsons is eerie, but it's been around for so long. Again, they make so many jokes about things.
Yeah, I bring up the Simpsons did it thing a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, people always try and do new things, and it's Simpsons already did it, but it's
because how long has that show been on the air?
Oh my god!
Exactly. Of course, they've done everything.
Yeah.
How many episodes?
Oh my god! Like that thing is run for like what 30 years?
740 episodes.
Fuck.
This is his 34th season.
Jesus. It's like the Ash Ketchum thing. They never grow up.
Oh, what everybody wants. A 10-year-old with 25 years of experience.
Yeah.
Right. I remember being a kid and thinking The Simpsons had been around forever and realizing now it had just come out.
I mean, really we're weird. About the same age, aren't we? I'm 33.
I'm 37.
Okay, so pretty much. It's been on TV pretty much the whole time you've been watching TV.
Yep, it's been on my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
There's a few of them getting up there. So. Yeah.
Speaking of things that are crazy, Charles, do you have an inner monologue?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I always find it weird to find out when people don't. And my head is constantly talking to itself. Like
Me too.
I repeat conversations in my head, events through the day, how it could have gone differently,
Yep.
constant back and forth conversation. Every decision I make is like the fucking choice of the holy grail, like which one to choose. Like I have to get a
Yes.
burrito and argue with myself for 30 minutes whether or not a cheeseburger would be better. So
I don't understand how people think, like, what's it like to think without an internal monologue? I have to imagine, oh gosh, my screen. I have to imagine it's kind of like what I imagine a pet thinks it like, and I'm just like, I feel really bad saying that, but like, if you're not dialoguing everything, like, how are you processing? That's the thing.
Yeah.
I literally don't understand. So I think about, like, my cat a lot obviously doesn't have language, like, in the way that we do. So I'm like, I wonder how she thinks. And I kind of wonder the same question about people who don't have inner monologues. I'm like, so do you just like, is it all visual? Because like, I don't feel like my husband's a particularly like visual person, but he doesn't have an inner monologue. I'm so confused by it. Like,
Yeah, mine, Carlos doesn't either. And I'm like, how do you do things? He's like, I just do things. So I was like, wait, so you don't think through scenarios and the possibilities of things going right or preventative? You just it just ends up being some sort of like damage control. Like, I
does he
don't know if
talk?
I want. Huh?
Does he talk to himself? Like, do people with inner monologues talk to themselves?
Like out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because they can't internally. So out loud, do they? Is that why people practice in the mirror sometimes?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, as far as inner monologue go, like anytime I ask or talk to, I guess, myself as I problem solve or like whatever, because my brain never shuts off either, like it doesn't answer me in the same way. Like, let's say you and I are having a conversation, it replies to me in kind of like cinematic film response. Whereas if I asked it, should we do this today or get these supplies, it'll then kind of give me a scenario of if we do said thing, these are the things that could happen. And then, like Doctor Strange looking around, I have to think about the best case scenario in those kind of like multiple choice like views of the scenario that it gave me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe we can go at A.
Yeah. It sounds so peaceful to not have one.
It
but,
does. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
but also lonely. It's do you remember, speaking of The Simpsons again, there was one episode that pops into my head whenever I talk about this kind of stuff. But the camera pans, I forget what the situation is, but it shows everyone's thoughts on the topic, and it shows Bart and he's thinking some Bart shit, and it shows Lisa and Marge. And then it cuts to Homer, and he's just going, no, 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 and that's all that's in his head. So,
yeah.
Is it just like that all the time?
I don't know. I also sing to myself in my head a lot, though. Like,
all the time. Yeah,
all the time. It's just constant. It's pretty constant. It's like, oh, I don't actually need to be listening to music to like hear the music and in like a lot of detail.
Yeah.
But then I'm just like, I remember talking to my therapist, and she's like, well, you don't like meditating. I'm like, no, I find it really stressful. And that's apparently not a weird reaction to have to meditation, is to just get anxiety from it, which is just fantastic. Just a fantastic problem to have. But she's like, well, have you tried listening to music and just focusing on one instrument at a time? I'm like, that is how I fucking listen to music. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm a guitarist. I am obviously just listening to the guitar part for most of it, and then maybe I'll go back and then I'll listen to the drum part. I'm not listening to everything at once very often. It's very rare for me. I don't are you guys like that, or is that weird? Am I weird?
I
kind of hear everything at once.
Yeah, I hear everything at the same time. Usually, like if I do multiple listens, then I can hear certain elements of it. But yeah, I can't do meditation either. They're like, yeah, in a quiet place, like my brain won't shut off. It'll be like, hey, what do you think of this? Leave me alone. Like, I don't want to think about that said thing from 5 years ago. Why are you asking me this now? We're trying to be calm and quiet and like, detached from everything. But no, really, what about this thing? Like, no, leave me alone.
I've gotten a lot better at pushing out that kind of stuff, because I just remind myself, I'm like, nobody fucking remembers that embarrassing
No one
thing that
does.
you
Yeah.
said. No one remembers what you did. And if they're still thinking about that like years later, then they're fucking weird. Just
Yes.
Yeah, they're
they're weird,
ones.
weirder than I am. Like, remember that time Emily did that embarrassing? Why?
Fuck?
No.
Yeah.
Why and why are you
No.
thinking about it now?
Yeah, why did that stick with you? What the fuck?
It's like
Yeah.
when people talk about, like, transgender people or gay people, any weird, like, kinda like, "Well, which one's the like, that kind of stuff, like, is that something you
Well, who's the
something you
husband? Yeah.
I'm like, "Is that something you ponder with frequency?"
Like,
Because
do you
I don't think about like,
Yeah.
I don't wonder. I don't wonder about that
No.
stuff, do you?
I
Like, and
I
why? And maybe you should ask yourself, why do you why are you thinking about that?
No. No,
Well, it's
I don't wonder that at all. Like, I have friends who are trans, but I don't just ask these questions. I wouldn't ask this to straight people. Like, why
'Cause I don't
would I ask
'cause I
this?
'cause I don't think about it.
they must not have internal monologues, so they can't ask
No
themselves. So
filter.
they just want to know that nobody's ever told. I've never been able to think about this before. They're saying it out loud for the first time.
Oh.
It's the first time it's crossed their
Christ, Google it. Oh my god.
mind. Yeah, no shit.
Like, the
It's
things that
funny.
people ask me sometimes, like,
Oh my
just
god.
as a woman on the internet, is like, what's
Oh, God forbid.
just like a random like a weird question. I'm like, I get like some weird ones. I promptly delete them. Like,
What's
bye.
the weirdest? What's the weirdest shit you've ever been asked
Man,
that
I
you're
don't
comfortable
know.
repeating?
You know, I kind of push it away. Like, it doesn't. I don't simmer on it very much.
Yeah,
I'm sure that like as soon as we get off this call, I'll be like, oh yeah, that one time I got that really weird fucking comment. A lot of it's commentary. Like
yeah.
a while back, some guy, and this was such a weird situation. It was a very old demo, and, like, I guess I stuck my tongue out at some point during the demo, like, I got excited, I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
"Yeah," kinda thing, and this guy tells me, like, a piece of advice from an anonymous stranger, "Stop sticking your tongue out, it's trashy and low class." Like, and I just responded, "No," with the tongue out emoji. Um,
Perfect.
and then, and then of course I kind of like who the fucking audacity of this man.
Yeah.
He's like a fucking Hari Krishna, like all of his videos on his page are like Hari Krishna videos. I'm like, did I just get like
Do as I say, not
mansplained
as
by
I
a
do.
Hari Krishna?
Yeah.
Like
Are
I thought y'all were like don't give a fuck about things. Like I guess I
yeah,
don't
Yeah.
know much about Hari
that's
Krishnas.
so confusing to me now. I was like, it's no, like, if you believe this or practice this, why would you do this? I
I was like Googling are Krishnas like live and let live kind of people, or do they have like some weird like tenets of living their lives that I'm just very unaware of? Because like I've not again, just something I'll think about a lot.
Yeah. I got that reminds me of a time when my dude Ryan worked here. He it was at the height of COVID and he was masked up and we would work with masks on and stuff and I recorded just a small clip for Instagram of him playing guitar and he had a mask on because we were in the room
Mm.
together and it went over fine. Nobody said anything except for one fucking dickhead. And and he goes on and just blasts him in the comments like, take the fucking mask off, pussy, and this and that, just like all this crap. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Who goes on and just blasts a random person in the comments that they have no idea about? And I dove into the dude's profile, and like the second to last thing he had posted was be cool to everyone because you never know what's happening in their life behind the scenes.
Yeah,
And I
now
was
he's just
like,
calling some guy a pussy for wearing a mask.
so I commented back and just quoted that to him and was like, sounds familiar. and and he blocked me and deleted his comment.
Ah,
So
man,
They can dish it, but they can't take it. Yeah.
yeah, it was
that's
funny.
true, and like just the embarrassment that man must have felt is going to
Just
keep me going for the rest of the day.
Yes.
yeah.
Like,
I hope that sticks with him. I
you
hope
know,
that
yeah,
The
because
gift that keeps on giving.
he didn't want anyone else to give him shit, but he doesn't care, and that's a lot
right.
of people, man. Like, there's actually one time, you know, I don't know if you know this about me, but normally when someone responds to something mean, I don't sass back. I just said thanks for watching. I did
Right.
that once to a guy. He left a mean comment. I said thanks for watching, and immediately he responded like, "That was mean. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. You seem really cool." And
Yeah.
like just like complete like 180 just for not razzing him back. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's so
Because
weird.
normally it just kind of makes them shut the fuck up a little
Yeah.
bit, like. But that guy, I wasn't expecting someone to ever come back and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, it's
oh,
just attention seeking behavior. So,
That's really what it is projection. It's either attention seeking kind of behavior, or it's projecting whatever it is going on in their life, and they're just looking to target someone to it at.
I
yeah.
always say, like, you have to be like, the people who leave these comments, they're miserable. Like, like, you're not that mean if you're happy, if you're truly happy. My husband actually disagrees on this one. He's like, I know a lot of people who seem very happy and they are like fucking assholes. I'm like, but they're
Mhm.
not, because they would they'd be more secure. Like, the happiest people I know, the biggest thing is they're very secure in who they are, and they don't feel the need to piss on other people. Like, I thought I was
Yeah.
happy, and then I had mean thoughts about people, and I had to like completely fucking reprogram my brain to stop thinking mean things about strangers. And I realized,
Right.
as I stopped like quietly judging people for like what they were wearing or whatever, what they were listening to, like, I stopped thinking, like, being worried that people were judging me on shit. And
Yeah.
it was very freeing. And like I've actually I've talked with my husband about this before, but like, are you worried that people are like talking about you in public? Because I promise they're not. And if they are, that's weird. That's weird behavior on their part, not yours.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
And
kind of where I land on it.
yeah, and even in my case, it's the case of, as far as I always have this concern of like when people are friends with me and things like that, where it's always what you can do for them. And as soon as like you're not useful, they pretty much discard you or something. That's always my fear when I connect or interact with people. That's pretty much what I, always have lingering in my mind. Are they really, or is it what I can provide to them? And I always have to push that thought away, which I know there are people that care about me. There are people that truly connect with me. And that's really my fears, which is speaking, my, I guess, avoidant or fear of attachment. Because if someone hurts me, then yeah, I feel it more intensely than if I am at arm's length with people. If that scenario happens, I'm less affected by it. So, yeah, it is something that you have to train your brain, and the anxiety or fears, that's really what's trying to take the wheel. And you're just like, no, 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 I'm going to drive. Please, like, this isn't what's happening. This is some imaginary thing you're painting right now. These people actually do care. It's not that. You're creating scenarios that don't exist. Please leave me alone.
And if that
Right.
does happen, then they're just assholes.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
there's not a lot. Like, I think
No,
you and I
you can't
were,
do anything about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Move
like every
on.
once in a while, I'm like, why am I letting this person hurt me?
Yeah.
It's not always about letting, because a lot of that stuff is really kind of inevitable. Like, you're gonna feel
Mm,
hurt about things, and
of
that's
course.
normal.
It's
But then,
stages of
like,
grief.
and then when you step back, you're like, why am I like this? They
Mm.
can't hurt me any more than they already have. Like, I do believe that like the worst things have already happened in our brains a lot of the time.
Yes.
The worst things already happened in some of these, and then that's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe it
Again,
could get, probably not.
no, and again, it's some of the things that again I've talked to you, Charles, about it in in the frame of, if you have someone that does, impact you in some way negative, you don't take that and apply it to everyone else. You don't start to
Right.
see shadows in everybody, every possibility, because then you tarnish those relationships, and you can't then focus on the good of the people that are there. So
Right.
because you can't
Yeah.
let this one scenario or things that happen in your life tarnish your outlook, because then you're looking through a mirror clouded darkly, and that's really not the real perception of the world. And I think it's really, you have to hold on to this perception of everyone is inherently good, just sometimes things change, people change, reason, season, lifetime, and whatever will be. Things change. It's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah. I agree. And it's hard. I understand where you're coming from about people wanting to, or just whether they actually like you or not. And it's like, I know a lot of people that don't particularly, it's like, do they are they a friend or do they just need a friend and they're very selfish about it? You know what I mean?
Or something of
Oh,
So
me. Yeah. Or there's something
yeah,
I can provide them. Yeah.
right. There's a lot of
are they a
one-sided
friend or do they
relationships.
need a friend? Oh
Yeah.
shit, that's gonna haunt me.
It's
Oh
tough.
no.
Yeah. That's what it is.
No, but you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah, and how much does that matter? Like, should
It
every
does.
relationship be completely reciprocal and 50-50? Like,
No,
that's
Uh,
ridiculous to think also. Like,
of
there's always
course.
going to be one person that puts in a little more effort, like in
Yeah.
any friendship or relationship.
I'm
It just
yeah.
it you got to find that line that where it's okay with you or not. And
Yeah.
like other people, there's certain people that I don't hang out with unless I hit them up to hang out, and they're happy to hang out when I do. It's just we're a different type of people to where one person doesn't initiate. There's other people that only hit me up, and that's just a dynamic you have with people.
No,
And
I
yeah.
agree with that. I have something very
yeah,
similar. I kind of distance myself with the year to see because I'm more of like initiator, like giver kind of person. So
mm,
like in 1 year, I did that less, and I noticed there was less people reaching back. So it was like,
right,
okay, I am the person that initiates. I accept that. That's my role. That's fine. I
right,
learned that through that
yeah,
experiment.
you owned it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they're any less your friend or anything like
No,
that. It's just that's just the role
that's me.
that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
I once told a
Yeah.
boyfriend I felt like if I stopped calling you, I would just never see you again, and I was right.
Well, I am
Trash
I
kinda
am
took its the trash kinda took itself out on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it.
it just
Oh,
made it
yeah.
it just made room for Rick to come through, that's all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And I promptly ghosted, like, 3 other guys. Whoops.
Yeah.
I was a catch when I was 22.
Ghosting is so funny. Like there it's the easiest thing to do and it's such a dick move.
It is, it so is. I hate
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an accident, but sometimes people know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I've been ghosted in recent memory, and I was like, "Why?
Right,
What
right.
a
Why?
what
What happened?
happened? I
I
thought, aw,
Yeah.
aw,
I went out with a
man."
girl one time, and I was in a really bad spot. It was probably
Oh,
the worst date she had ever been on. Like I only had enough money for drinks and like had to split dinner
oh,
afterwards, and it was fine, but just not expected. And we we just talked about like my ex girlfriend and cats the whole time, and
oh.
and,
The cat
and
part's good.
it
The
was
cat
a
part, yeah.
total rebound thing, and I was just like totally not in a good spot in my life.
Mm.
And I remember hitting her up a few days later and was like, "Hey, that was fun. We should do it again." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm not that into it, dude. Sorry, not gonna happen." And I was like, "Holy shit! Like, thank you so much for
Closure.
telling me that and being upfront. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. My feelings weren't hurt. I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't." And I told myself I would never be indirect with anyone again in like that kind of situation, just because of
same.
how fucking easy it was to like split and get over it instead of
Just
like,
rip off
whoa,
the
she
Band-Aid.
yeah she bailed on me this
Yeah.
one time, but blah blah blah. Like yeah, it was
I
funny.
feel like to truly ghost, you have to completely ignore 1 to 2 messages a person sends. I think 2. I think if you send 1 message and never follow up, it could literally just be like forgetting.
Forgot it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
that's what I
forgot.
think too.
Sorry.
Yeah, multitasking.
Yeah.
It
I
happens, yeah.
saw it. I didn't. Fair. You didn't feel like following up either. So, yeah.
Right.
Well, we've been going for a bit. So, Charles, where can people find you? What should people know about you? Give us your elevator
Hmm. Yeah.
spiel.
I'm easy to get a hold of on Instagram or through email, or the phone number on the website is my phone. Feel free to text me or anything like that. I'm the one that answers calls. I'm the one that answers DMs. So if you need to talk to Silktone, you get me. You know, I played a joke on someone one time, and I told my dudes, it's weird because I'll tell customers to call me if they have a question, and I feel like they never do because they always think of us as a bigger company than we are. And I feel like when someone calls, they're gonna get someone that's like, "Silktone, this is Mods. How can I help you?" you know.
Yeah.
So I started answering the phone that way, and
Did you really?
Yeah, and people were
Oh my god.
thrown for a minute, and they were like, "Oh, hi, I just had a question about this," and I'd start laughing and tell them it was me, and
Aw.
it usually went well. but yeah, Silktone, www.silktone.org, or Instagram at Silktone Amps. Those are the best ways.
Nice. Cool. Well, everybody out there, please like, comment, subscribe, review on iTunes, all this other kind of stuff. You know, the stuff. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/getoffset for as little as $5 a month. You get access to our exclusive Discord server, which is fun. I've lowered the price of the shirt with my dumb face on it to $27 at popular request. It had been $50. I already sold one.
I didn't know about this. I need one.
You need one in your life now.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. What have I done? What have I done? It's literally called the Emily Dumb Face shirt, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but I've sold one. It's available in multiple colors. I'm just gonna put one in the chat in the Zencaster. If you can see that.
There we
That's
go.
it. It's got my little frowny face.
It's so great.
I don't remember what was happening when this screenshot got pulled. I think that like my computer went into sleep mode or something, and I frowned at it. I think it was Hondo Felder's idea for me to make it a shirt. Also,
amazing.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
If you zoom in on the face, it's not even just a frown. It's like ooh, kind of.
That's good.
Oh my god!
This is fine.
This is actually from the demo of the American Vintage 2 Jazz Master, so it might have just been an issue with the guitar that made me upset.
Oh no.
I hope you sell a ton of those.
I hope I sell more than one. There are officially 2 in the wild. Ben, formerly of Dwarfcraft Devices, has one as well.
I'm gonna have to get one to wear it to NAMM.
Oh god. Okay, sure. That's fine. He'll be like, "What the fuck is that?" I didn't even put the logo on it. It's just like some weird
Just some woman.
Who's that dumb bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you don't know who this is? Fuck.
Who's that low class trashy bitch with her tongue out?
Oh
Low class trashy bitch.
Wiggling her tongue at me.
Some people like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody out there, thanks for watching / listening.
Thanks for understanding.
Until next time, my name is Emily.
I'm Joan of Heart.
That's Charles.
I'm Charles.
Be seeing you.
Bye.